Hello and welcome. My name is Ranger Ryan O'Connell, and I work here at George Washington Carver National Monument in Diamond, Missouri. Here, we preserve the 240-acre farm that the famous scientist was born and raised on. We're here in our laboratory, which is found in our discovery area in our visitor center, to talk about something called cook stove chemistry. When Carver was working at Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, one of the things that he created was called the bulletins. And these bulletins were informational brochures that were distributed to the poor farmers of Macon County, Alabama, both black and white, in order to teach them something and help improve their lives, and went on a number of different topics. Often these would include recipes. So we'll be making a recipe from one of these bulletins today. We're going to be making one of the recipes found in this bulletin, number 31, how to grow the peanut and 105 ways of preparing it for human consumption. Our recipe today is going to be number 17, peanut cookies number 1. When we refer to cook stove chemistry, we're referring to the practical application of science to the art of cooking.
Today's ingredients will be 3 cups of flour, 2 eggs, 1 cup sugar, 1 1/2 cups ground peanuts, 1/2 cup butter, 1 cup sweet milk or regular milk, 1 teaspoon baking powder. The instructions: cream, butter, and sugar. Add eggs well beaten. Now add the milk and flour. Flavor to taste with vanilla. And the peanuts last. Drop 1 spoonful to the cookie in well-greased pans. Bake quickly. The first thing that you're going to do is set your oven to 375 degrees.
The ingredients for this recipe, number 17, peanut cookies number 1, you'll need 3 cups of flour, 1/2 cup of butter, an extra for greasing or something to grease your cookie sheet, 2 eggs. Now the primary audience for the bulletins were farmers, and the eggs that they had likely would have already been at room temperature, so make sure your eggs are too. 1 cup of sweet milk, and by sweet milk he means regular whole milk, basically not sour milk or buttermilk. 1 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 1/2 cups of ground peanuts. Now when he says peanuts, I believe he is referring to them being raw. And raw peanuts can be hard to come by because the more commercially available peanuts are roasted and honestly taste better for snacking. So today, in the spirit of science, we're going to do an experiment. We're going to split the recipe in half and bake half with raw and the other half with roasted and see how they turn out. My guess is that the roasted will probably taste a little burnt, but you never know, it could surprise us. The last thing that the instructions have is vanilla to taste, but it's not included in the ingredient list, so we're going to include that here. We're going to cream the butter and the sugar together. I use an electric mixer. Yes. Next, we're going to beat the eggs and add them to our butter and sugar mixture.
Next, we're going to add the milk and the flour. Next, we're going to add the baking powder and the vanilla. Now I'm going to give it a mix and get ready for the peanuts. That's really thick. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to divide our recipe in two. As you can see, it's really thick and sticky, so started to switch out to manual methods rather than using the electric motor and not risk burning out a motor because it's very thick. And one more scoop will do. And from here we're going to add our peanuts. And here we're going to put the raw. And this one we're going to put the roasted. And now we're going to mix. Now in the instructions it says to scoop out by the spoonful onto a well-greased pan. It doesn't say what size spoon, so we're just going to use tablespoons. It's my recommendation when if you do this at home, when you knead it or mix up the peanuts into the batter, I would recommend using your hands because it was very difficult to use with a spatula. So something to do with your hands. That's fun. Next we'll get started on the roasted peanuts. I think we'll do something a little different with them. We'll make them into a shape, or maybe do the classic peanut butter cookie cross hatching with the forks when we're done with this. Carver's last instructions are to bake quickly. Now, baking quickly means that you're going to run your oven a little bit hotter than what you're used to for baking. These days, we use about 350 degrees for baking purposes, So that's why it's set for $3.75, but you could also go as high as $400. Back in Carver's day, these ovens were wood-fired, and so they didn't have the ability to regulate their heat. So that's why it says bake quickly rather than at a specific temperature. What he also doesn't tell us is how long we need to bake these. So we're going to put them in for about 8 minutes or so and take them out and rotate them, get an idea of how long it's going to take for them to get brown around the edges, which is what we want. And since we don't know how long it's going to take, once I get back to the lab, I'll let you know how long it took me to get it to that point. Well, we've made it back to the lab. The cookies smell amazing. They look great. If you take a look at this one right here, golden brown on the bottom. This cookie recipe yielded about 28 or so cookies, and you can see how large these are. You can definitely make these smaller because it's a very thick batter. And so we ended up baking these for about 15 or so minutes in the oven. When Carver was in front of the House Ways and Means Committee, and he brought a number of food articles with him to show them the different products that can be made from the peanut, and he brought food articles, and he told them that, you know, unfortunately, I'm sorry that I cannot let you taste them, but I will taste them for you. So I'm very sorry that you cannot taste these. I will taste these for you. So we'll give these a shot. Mm-hmm. This was the raw peanut cookie. It's pretty good. And this one is the roasted peanut. Okay. I was a little concerned about using the roasted peanuts. They might feel a little over or bitter or burnt, and they really aren't. So I think in this recipe you can substitute the roasted peanuts for in place of the raw, and I don't think they're going to lose an awful lot of quality difference. This has a much more subtle flavor to it. This is definitely a much more of a roasted flavor, and it's very tasty actually. So I've got some peanut milk with me, and I'm going to have some peanut cookie with my peanut milk. That's very good. Carver's recipes the one that we just finished making for you, showed the wide variety that the peanut can be used for. But his concern is not so much about the peanut as it is about farmer soil. Because you see, peanuts are legumes, and a legume returns the nitrogen back into the soil. But unlike cotton, peanuts are edible. And so that was one way that they were beneficial to the farmer, but also because it had an amazing mix of fats and carbohydrates, proteins, and minerals that vastly improved their diet. However, these farmers grew so many of these peanuts that they didn't really know what to do with them besides just eat them raw and roasted. So Carver goes into his laboratory and creates this bulletin to show 105 ways that these peanuts can be used. And it's not just for snacks and desserts like we just made, but also sides, breads, soups, and even entrees made from the peanut to show off its versatility as a food. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed watching this video. It certainly was a whole lot of fun to make. I hope that you've learned a little bit about George Washington Carver and the peanut. I want to take the time to invite you to George Washington Carver National Monument, located in Diamond, Missouri. It's interstate close to Interstates 44 and 49. The park is open every day with the exception of Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, if Missouri is a bit far for you, you're welcome to visit our website, which is www.nps.gov/GWCA, or you can visit us on Facebook. I hope that you'll take the time and visit us sometime. Goodbye.